Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 5. This is for Steve Noi. See down in the description box links to my other videos, but this is Steve Noi. And this couple, I always like to update you from the week before how I stand. I'm still steady, steady as a rock. That's an old song. I know you young people don't know that song. But anyway, I am definitely steady with these two. I am still on board with them. I think they're going to make it all the way to the end. And in fact, in the after party, which I'm going to do a video on, even Katina was like, nah, they making it all the way to the end. But yeah, Steve and Noi this week they were pretty much just getting to know each other. Noi is starting to speak up a little bit more than before. She definitely is a hopeless romantic, wears her heart on her sleeve. And the other thing about Noi is she needs constant validation. But you know what? I guess Steve can handle it. He's been handling it really well. They have both been able to handle maybe the little different quirks of each other's personalities that they're trying to get to know. And they're handling like a champ. They're really getting through it very, very well. So I like it. So they basically bake up cuddling, and Noi's like, cuddling and doesn't feel strange. She feels so comfortable. Once again, she's just talking about how she's just falling in love with her husband. And, she starts saying it off camera, and then she goes and tells Steve the same thing. I'm falling in love with you. And he's just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And her heart is a little broken because, she's thinking she wanted to hear him reciprocate and say the same things and, in reciprocation of what she said, but he didn't. He was like, I don't want to say anything that I don't feel. And he's like, we only been here like 3 days. Like, slow down, slow down. I know, Noi, we know you're a hopeless romantic, but you know what? Don't be mad. Don't be mad. It has only been 3 days. So you can just say you're falling in love and just be comfortable with that. But we can obviously see that Steve is developing feelings for her just the same. He may not be going as fast as she is, and he may be having a little bit more logic to it and say, let's slow it down. But you can see that these two are just on the road to just 50 years of marriage. So Steve starts talking about his vagabond lifestyle and how he likes to go to campgrounds and sleep on the ground in a tent. And Noi's like, I don't like to do that. I don't like to sleep outside. I don't want to sleep on the ground. Noi starts talking up, but she says it real sweet. She don't say it mean. She goes, I don't like to do that. I don't like to do that. And Steve is just sitting there with a blank face like, what am I going to do with this? You mean tell me she's not going to do what I wanted to do? And they just leave it at that. Noi says, I'll go with you as long as it's inside. So Steve, you might want to get you one of them tiny homes that you tow in the back of a truck, because that might be as close to camping as you're going to get Noi to do. Because that tent, sleeping in a pop in a tent, that may not work. You better go invest in a tiny home. So they go and have a little cute picnic on the ground, and Noi's just talking about her feelings for Steve. And, he knows it's going a little bit too fast, making it a little bit uncomfortable. But you know what? They work through it. So later on, they go on this boat ride with everybody else. There's a big old thing going on the boat ride. See my other videos about that. But one of the things that come on the boat ride when they're trying to play this, I don't know, it's not called Truth or Dare. It's like Never Have I Ever. They go, Never Have I Ever. And one of them was Never Have I Ever Cheated. Well, it was revealed that Steve said he cheated. And then later on, after the Never Have I Ever, Noi comes back and tells him, well, you know what? You're not the only one that cheated. I think they were at like a romantic dinner. And he's like, oh, you didn't tell that on the boat ride. I'm with you, Noi. I wouldn't have revealed it either. These folks don't need to know my business. I'll tell my husband, but I'm going to tell my husband in private. And that's just what Noi did. I'm with you. If I'm a woman, I wouldn't be revealing on no boat ride with a bunch of people that I'm a past cheater. But we end up finding out that they both cheated back where they were more like in high school. They were like 18 or 19 years old. So that's high school, maybe freshman year in college. And they both actually kind of have similar stories. So when they told their stories, they both kind of talked about how much they learned from it, how they learned that how it makes other people feel so horrible, and it's nothing they'd ever want to do again. Now they're 30-some years old. So it's so far in the past, they both just say, the cheating isn't a red flag. And they both agree that even though they were both cheaters, it's not anything that either one of them needs to be concerned about. So I like that. On a side story about Noi and Steve, and this has happened on the after party, and I'm going to do a video about that. They had this little story where they were talking about, in part of the episode, Alyssa started talking about she went to a psychic before she got married. And she was saying that the psychic told her that she was going to meet her soulmate, and her soulmate was going to have a tattoo, a lion tattoo. Well, we come to find out that Steve has a lion tattoo. So the backstory, which I'm going to talk about in the after story, is that Noi found out that Alyssa said that her soulmate had a lion tattoo, and it made Noi cry. Noi was so upset that Alyssa was running around talking about that her soulmate had a lion tattoo. And Noi's like, no, that's my man. That's my husband with the lion tattoo. But Noi started crying. So Alyssa ends up changing the story and saying it wasn't a lion tattoo, it was an eagle tattoo. And the only reason that Alyssa changed the story is because she didn't want Noi to feel bad. That's the first time I saw Alyssa ever perform any sort of compassion, to be honest with you. But she showed enough compassion to not upset Noi. She changed the story from a lion tattoo to an eagle tattoo. But Steve was telling the story that everybody was telling me he can't take his shirt off at the beach because then it was going to be this big whoop-to-do over the fact that it was Steve who had this lion tattoo. But it was really interesting, and it also tells you about these psychics. Psychics don't get everything right. Sometimes they're in the general vicinity, but they don't get everything right. So that psychic actually saw Steve in the same place as Alyssa, but what the psychic got confused was that Steve was not her man, Steve was Noi's man. And let me tell you, Noi was not having it. Now, she cried, but if that would have been Katina would have handled it a whole different way. But you know what? That was a cute little story. So watch my after party video, and I'm going to get into a little bit more. But I'm still high on these two. This is a slam dunk. This is a no-brainer, whatever you want to call it. And we're just going to have to keep seeing them on down the road, because these folks, they staying married. I can feel it already.